We are back with another episode of Gatehouse Insights. And today I'm joined by Vanessa Shambrook, who is the 2021 VWL President and lawyer at Women Legal Services. She dives deeper into the topics of managing her time so that she's a healthy and happy lawyer, how she found her purpose, what it is like working at a community legal centre, the benefits of networking, and much more. Make sure you subscribe to the Gatehouse Legal Recruitment YouTube channel to catch it all. Morning, Vanessa.
Good morning, Louise. How are you?
I am very well. How are you going?
I'm very well, thank you.
I wanted to begin this morning with your current role with Women Legal Services, because it is an alternative career path than the traditional private practice firm. Could you tell us a little bit more about this role and what you do on a day-to-day?
Yes, so I did start out in a traditional law firm, and I believed that I wanted to pursue a traditional law firm path. But in 2018, I think I finally admitted to myself that I was quite unhappy in that traditional law firm environment, and made what was at that time a really challenging decision to make the change to move to Women's Legal Service Victoria. But now I'm really grateful that I'm a part of the legal and policy team at Women's Legal Service in the family law and family violence area. So I now represent women experiencing disadvantage, and I work with ongoing clients as well as regularly appear in duty lawyer services at the Melbourne Magistrates Court, Family Court, and the Federal Circuit Court. So on a week-to-week basis, it does change a lot. We're on a roster system, all of the lawyers. So on a Monday, I might be at the Melbourne Magistrates Court. I might be juggling 8 different clients, appearing in 8 different matters. And then the next day, it will look more like a traditional law firm role where I'm assisting my clients. I have conferences, and I might even appear in some of my own matters. It really ranges on a week-to-week basis, but that's one of the advantages of working in a community legal centre. You do build on skills that you wouldn't normally get to do in a more traditional law firm environment.
Now, you said, you mentioned in 2018 you realised that private practice wasn't for you. What was the trigger for you to realise that, and how did you decide, okay, I'm going to go into a CLC environment?
Yes, for me, I think that I didn't have that feeling that I was fulfilling my purpose. It didn't have enough meaning for me, and there was a mismatch of values there. I think on some level, all of us go through this to a certain extent. We choose a career based on external success. We think that, okay, it's a great income, it looks great on paper, I should be happy. So I kept telling myself, why aren't I happy? I should be happy. I should be really grateful. And although I was really grateful, it just wasn't fulfilling that need inside me to provide assistance to people experiencing disadvantage. So I had gone through a really hard time. It got to a point where I was experiencing panic attacks going to work. I put on quite a lot of weight. I wasn't managing my mental health in a positive way, eating a lot of takeaway, working quite late at night. It got to a point where I had the flu every month for about 5 months. It just kept coming back. I don't think I actually allowed myself to recover properly. And when it got to the 5th month, I just said, this is enough. I've got to make the decision. Do I want to be here in 10 years? Or will this get me to where I want to be in 10 years? And when I said no to that question, I just knew. I contacted Helen Matthews, one of the directors, at Women's Legal Service directly, and I just said, is there a position available for me? And when they offered it to me, I think it was the following week, I just knew that that's where I wanted to be.
Yeah. And had you known Helen previously? How did you get in contact with Helen? How do you know her?
Yes, so I've had a connection with Women's Legal Service since I was a law student. When I was at Deakin University, I completed a placement program, and I found it really rewarding, and I just stayed on as a volunteer law student for a couple of years. But when I was in my more traditional law firm career, I stopped volunteering there for a while and eventually returned in 2018 as a volunteer lawyer. So I did have that connection with some of the lawyers there, and I knew that the culture was really great, and the clients were really appreciative, and I knew that I liked the work. So that did help me in making my decision.
I think it's incredible how you realised back in 2018 it's, you know, what you were doing is not somewhere where you wanted to be in 10 years' time, and you then took action to do it. Not many people can do that. And we meet so many people, and often they're stuck in the being in our field. They say, I've done this law degree, that they feel trapped. So well done to you for realising and then taking action, because not many people do.
Thank you. I agree. I think it can be a very difficult decision, and many solicitors don't make it, and you can tell the difference, I think, when people are really working in a position that is fulfilling to them and provides them meaning. I think it makes them more of a successful lawyer if they do come to work and love that role, and they're not just there for the external success that I mentioned before. So I agree that it is quite challenging, but it is definitely worth making the decision.
Yeah. And you mentioned that, you know, in your current position, you're learning new skills that you wouldn't necessarily learn in the traditional private practice firm. What skills have you been able to grow and expand and uncover?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's that advocacy experience that you wouldn't normally get in a traditional law firm. I know that some private practices do allow their junior solicitors to appear in smaller hearings like divorce hearings and things like that. But at community legal centres, you're often a duty lawyer. You have to think on your feet quite quickly. You're meeting a client, seeing them from anywhere between 15 minutes to 1 hour, and then you're jumping straight into court. And often your opponent is a privately paid barrister with many years of experience advocating in the legal profession. It can be quite challenging, but it's also quite exciting. And for me, I get that rush of adrenaline when I am appearing in court. You're also negotiating on a day-to-day basis. And again, especially for junior solicitors, it's normally the more senior practitioners and partners who are doing that negotiating and building on those skills. So there's a lot of advantages of working in a community legal centre, especially for juniors, because you're building on all these different skills that you wouldn't normally in that traditional law firm environment. And you're also drafting as well, so you're getting the best of both worlds.
And in terms of, I mean, you've been at CLC for quite some time now. What has been the main differences between private practice and a CLC environment? Could you share a little bit about that for us?
Yes, so there are a lot of similarities, but for me, it really is that advocacy experience that you wouldn't normally get at a private law firm practice. It's also, you also have an opportunity to really help individuals that normally wouldn't have access to the law with their legal matters. At a traditional law firm, they can pay for your legal services normally, and at a community legal centre, they're experiencing disadvantage. They normally have a whole rainbow of legal issues. So you're getting experience with really challenging and sometimes complex cases, because normally community legal centres have quite strict guidelines on what cases we take on. So when we do take on a case, it normally is quite complex. There normally are a lot of barriers to that person obtaining the help that they need. And then you also have the opportunity to work with other support services such as a financial counsellor, social workers, family violence support services, and it's really rewarding that way, having all of that different experience, practicing your communication with all of those different services as well. Also, our culture on a day-to-day basis is really supportive. I can't talk too much about other community legal centres, but at Women's Legal Service, they're really supportive of us taking a day off, finishing work early or working flexibly, especially during lockdown. They've been really supportive, and that's something that means a lot to me. For example, we had special leave called Just Because Leave. So during the pandemic, if we were just feeling off, we were feeling fatigued because of the lockdown, or family law can be quite taxing, we can just say to our directors, I want to take a just because day off. And we have that really open communication where there isn't a fear to not be okay. It's okay not to be okay. I think that there's a lot of work in the legal profession to be done on, letting lawyers take a day off to rest and come back as better lawyers and more focused the next day.
There is certainly a lot of work to be done within the legal profession and certainly other industries. And you're a big advocate of wellbeing and mental health. How do you incorporate it into your life, and what do you do so that you are that successful and happy lawyer that you want to be? What do you do?
Yes. For me, it's both discipline and boundaries. They're really the two essentials to ensuring that I am having positive well-being and a well-balanced life. I think that it's really important to remain disciplined, because often it's action that creates motivation. It's not the other way around. So if I wait to want to exercise, I'll probably never do it. If it's between a pizza and having a salad, obviously the pizza's better. But being disciplined and saying to yourself, no, it's better that I eat healthy, because we're doing such intense work. It's so important that we're treating our body like really a machine. You're putting the best kind of fuel into it. You're making sure you're getting active, getting outside. And it takes discipline to do that, because it's easier not to do it. And secondly, having boundaries. No one is going to prioritize your mental health as much as you are. So if you know that you need to take a day off and have a rest, or it's just preventing you needing to take a day off by ensuring that you're switching your work laptop off at a certain time, especially while we're working remotely. You're shutting down work completely, not checking emails after hours. For me, that's really important, having that separation. And also just, checking in with yourself and making sure, okay, do I need to take a break from seeing anyone today, friends and family, and just having a night at home? They're really my two main things that everything else sort of expands out upon, because without boundaries and without discipline, you're going to work all night and eat unhealthy, and you're not going to end up being a very happy or successful lawyer.
Now, you've also been, from your uni days, you've been very good at networking and volunteering your time at certain places. How has this impacted and shaped your legal career?
Yes, for me, networking has been an essential part of my career path, because without networking, I wouldn't have the fantastic mentors that I have today, and I wouldn't have had the support that I've found otherwise. So I've actually come from humble beginnings, Louise. I attended a public school. I had no prior connections to anyone in the legal profession. I don't actually think I knew anyone who had attended university. So for me, it was quite daunting going to law school without these supports in place. And when I attended university, I was really struggling to make those connections. I think a lot of law students go through this. I didn't know who to reach out to. So I was lucky enough to attend a talk at Deakin University led by my future mentor that I didn't know would be my mentor, Jessica Main. She's the former Young Lawyers LAV president. I felt so inspired by her talk that at the end I nervously approached her and asked her for tips on networking and what can I do. She told me actually to sign up to Victorian Women Lawyers. So I signed up that night, became involved in the law reform committee and put my hand up to become a co-chair, and the rest is history. And I've now been involved with them for 6 years. So Victorian Women Lawyers really changed the trajectory of my path and really helped me network with other lawyers and build confidence in myself to network and find that peer support and mentors in law, which later assisted me to find my first role in law. So I don't know where I would be otherwise, but I couldn't stress the importance of networking more, especially to students or graduates entering the legal profession.
And not only were you able to secure your first role, but you're the 2021 VWL President.
Yes.
So that's an incredible achievement. How did that come about? What inspired you to go for that and be the president this year?
Honestly, Louise, it wasn't planned initially when I started on this path, which was now in 2019 when I was elected as the vice president. It just sort of happened organically. After Law Reform Committee, I became the communications officer and was elected on our general executive committee. And I was in that role for 2 years. I really loved seeing Victorian Women Lawyers from that broad perspective and overseeing all of our events, because as communications officer, you have to be on top of everything that's happening. And I really liked that and really liked seeing how things work from that more broader perspective. I discovered that I do like leadership and I do like inspiring others to pursue their passions and what they're interested in doing and what they want to do to make a change. So I went for the role of vice president, and the rest is history. And now here I am today, which I'm very, very grateful for.
It's awesome, and congratulations on it. I think you'll make an incredible leader this year. So for VWL.
Thank you.
I wanted to touch on your photography business because you also do that on the side, and you have incredible photos. Your work is amazing. So tell us a little bit about how that came about and how it actually complements or helps you as a lawyer.
Thank you. Yes. So I actually started this side hustle in photography in 2018 when I was going through that difficult time. I was searching for something else to have a bit of fun and relax outside of the law, but I also started it in order to purchase my first home, because graduate solicitors, although our incomes are great, they're often not enough in itself to purchase a home within a couple of years. So I thought, why not? I'll put up a Facebook Marketplace ad and see if I get, any clients. I had studied photography as a year 11 and year 12 subject in high school, and I'd had some interest in it for quite some time, but by no means was I a professional at that time. I only had one camera, but maybe because my services were so cheap at that time, as soon as I posted an ad, I made 20 bookings in, I think it was 48 hours. And after that, I just really enjoyed it, kept buying more equipment, and really, really loved it. And I've now purchased my first home, but I've decided to continue on with it because it still provides that relaxing, kind of, I can just switch off from that law side and get a bit creative, and it just uses another part of my brain that a lot of lawyers don't get to use. But I've just continued on with it and really love it. I now choose less clients and I take on particular clients to make sure that I'm having balance and I'm getting the rest that I need. And this year, actually during lockdown, I started selling some of my aerial ocean shots, which I've started to focus more on as well. I have a drone, which is quite cool. I'm not sure if you can see the image behind me, but that's one of my prints.
Yes, I can see it. It's beautiful.
Thank you. It's actually been purchased by a lawyer. So it won't be here in a couple of weeks. I'll be posting it out, but I really, really love it. And I think that having balance in your life as a lawyer, having a hobby, having something that you can, switch off on the weekend, it makes you more focused and more refreshed when you come back in the office on Monday.
Yeah.
So that's why I love doing it. Yeah.
It's awesome. And your work is incredible. So, amazing. Very talented.
Thank you.
Can we talk about how law students can overcome some of the barriers they face when looking for their first role? Because it's getting challenging. There's a lot more grads in the market looking for their first role. Not so many firms are recruiting. So a lot of law students, and we get a lot of inquiries from law students about, getting their first job. What would your advice be to them about securing and getting that first job? How do they overcome some of the barriers that they might face?
Yeah, I think there is still a lot of work to be done to overcome some of the barriers facing particular students who come from diverse backgrounds or who are living with disabilities or coming from rural backgrounds. But generally, my advice is, don't give up. I know that's quite overdone and we say that a lot, but don't give up and believe in yourself and keep pursuing, because often the first few years of law are the hardest, in my opinion. Generally, that's when you're competing, as you said, for a very limited number of positions. But the more senior that you get, the more opportunities that there will be. So it will get better in time. But in the meantime, if I was going to tell myself what to do, 5 or 6 years ago, I would say pursue what you are passionate about. If you don't enjoy it and you're going for, say, an interview in M&A law and you're not really interested in it, the interviewer is going to see right through that. So only apply for positions that you are passionate about, and you will naturally shine brighter in the interview if you actually want that role. My other advice would be, don't just work hard, work smart. Often, we're pushing ourselves to extreme limits to get those really, really high marks, but you've got to ask yourself, is it better that maybe my marks might not be as high, but I'm also volunteering, getting some experience with private law firms if I'm able to get a job as a paralegal, or even, working in non-legal positions as a law student will help you obtain a position in law, because it's transferable skills, it's communication, and it's something that you can talk about in your interviews when you are going for a graduate position. My other advice, Louise, is probably not going to be surprising. Join associations, become a member, Victorian Women Lawyers, the LIV, Diverse Women in Law. There's so many different great organisations now that run events where lawyers attend and you can network, meet people, have coffees with them. And lastly, don't be shy to just reach out to people on LinkedIn. I think it's really underutilised. Law students, myself, I was quite afraid to do that, but once you get it over and done with, you find that lawyers do want to help. They want to help junior lawyers most of the time, and often people like talking about themselves. So if you have some questions pre-prepared and you are genuinely interested in that person's career and how they got to where they are, you never know how that connection might help you in obtaining a position later on, especially if they can tell that you are really passionate about that area of law that they're working in. So network and reach out to people. That is really invaluable for overcoming those barriers to getting a position.
I agree with you there. LinkedIn is underutilized, certainly. So and don't be afraid to reach out to people on LinkedIn, because what I found, even in my position, when I reach out to people, they're always willing to say yes. So just bite the bullet and do it. So very good
advice.
And before we close, is there any final thought you want to leave our audience with?
Yes, my final advice would be, just be yourself. Again, I know that's super overdone, but it's such an important feeling when you know yourself and you're being yourself, you're being true to yourself. Work in a career that you're passionate about, and don't settle for anything less that doesn't fulfill you.
Vanessa, thank you very much for joining me this morning, and you're incredible, so thank you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
And that's it. Another episode of Gatehouse Insights draws to an end. Thank you for watching, and thank you for sharing this video with your friends. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe to the Gatehouse Legal Recruitment YouTube channel, where you can see more.